Happy Peeps, Suzanna here today to share with you this 2-page layout. It's my latest sketches for 6x6 paper pads with Allison Davis. That is the left-hand side of the 2-page layout, and this is the right-hand side. So I have to tell you I skipped week 6. I couldn't make that work, and I really struggled with this sketch. This is week 7. It has 5 photos, I believe. Hold on, let me go back to the sketch. Yes, it has 5 photos. There are 4 4x6s and 1 4x3. And you'll see I have in my finished sketch this piece here, which is a 12x8 piece of pattern paper. But the sketch calls for 6 4x4 squares there. So it looks kind of like a quilt block. And I tried very hard to put the 4x4 blocks, but it didn't work for me. And I really struggled with that, and I struggled with a way to work around that. My workaround ends up being this 12x8 piece of pattern paper. But I still struggled with this, and I determined at the end of this layout that the reason I struggled with it is because to the left of this 8x12 is a single 4x6 photo, and on the other side are photos that are, I call them neighbors, so they're kissing, they're touching each other. And so there is a huge gap. There is like an 1.5 inch gap between the left-hand photo on the left-hand side of that rectangle and the same gap on the other side. And to me, there's no continuity as you move across the page, and that really bothers me. And it was even more disparaging when you had the squares, which is why I just settled for the piece of paper. So I chose the background. It is a piece of Bella Boulevard, and I have cut the strips, and that is also Bella Boulevard, but that is Illustrated Faith. So I am not working with a kit. I pulled my own colors. This page is my daughter's 5th grade rise ceremony, hence the title of the layout. And the elementary school that she went to, they were the Cardinals. And so the prime colors of the school are red and black, and so that was why I went with the color scheme that I went with, which worked perfectly with those black mortar boards. And while they didn't wear them, it was still a quote-unquote graduation, quote-unquote rise ceremony, and so that worked. So those are hearts that are the 1/4 inch strip borders that go all the way across and unite the page. I decided to add a few more embellishments to that, and you'll see that coming up. So I loved this paper from Illustrated Faith with the numbers, and that was originally going to be my journal block in that top right hand corner, that empty space that you see right there. However, it was going to cover all the numbers if I put the journaling there and the strips, and it wasn't also going to provide a very visible space for visible journaling. So I decided to use this piece of pattern paper here. So it's notebook paper. That is very, very old. That is Creative Cafe, I think it was. It was actually from my scraps. And so that is where I thought I would put that fussy cut 5 there for 5th grade, and maybe put my title there and then some journaling, but you'll see that evolve and change. So I want to back the photo so that the photo doesn't get lost in this huge triangle here. So that is a piece of Scrapbook bunny that is just wood grain. And I'm going to put that as my white layer around my photo. Typically, I print my photos with a white border around it. However, with a lot of these 2-page layouts, the sketch calls for a 4x6 photo. And with photos that kiss or neighbor or touch each other, that border becomes funny and creates a disproportionate to spacing. So I didn't print photos with white borders. So there I have my favorite things die, and it is a notebook edge, and so I'm going to use black notebook edge just to tie in with the school theme, to make these borders just a little bit more decorative. In many ways, this sketch is, I'm going to call it quote unquote simple, but sketches, the beauty of sketches is you can make them as complicated or as simple as you want them to be, and I like a little bit more embellishment on my page than this. I'm going to call it light-handed with embellishments, but more than what this page called for. And what I love about sketches, and even when I make my own sketches, I don't view those hearts as I have to use hearts. I view them as placeholders. So you can have them as hearts or stars or paw prints or numbers or whatever you want those embellishments to be. So I am using my Little Bee dies. I use these dies a lot. I have gotten my money's worth out of these, as well as I have circle dies from Little Bee as well. And I am going to cut stars. So the sketch calls for hearts. I am going to use stars, and I'm going to use stars because to me they are celebratory. They have that sort of, which is what this graduation or rise ceremony is. I like the way that the black, I'm going to use 3 bits of varying lengths of this notebook border, and I like the way that the black ties the page together. It is a dominant weight across the page that unites everything. I do have one black and white photo on the left-hand side, and then the rest of the photos are colored. The reason I converted that end photo to black and white is because all the gals were wearing different colors, and I wanted to stick with the red, white, and blue, the red, black, and blue color scheme. And so this way I was able to get that photo, which is important because she was standing up there with her certificate, and that way I could include that photo, which was part of the occurrence, and make it work in the color scheme of both my layout and really the school color scheme. So I just am fussy cutting this 5. Originally, right where I stuck it was where my original intent had been for this to go. However, it was supposed to be a title block, and it's supposed to be a journal block. Having that 5 there and putting 5th grade was going to make that a title block, and I wasn't sure where I was then going to put some journaling, and I really do want that journaling in that top right 4x3 over there. I will tell you in my finished layout, I don't have that completed journaling there, largely because I don't remember the date, and this was from 2017, and so I'm going to have to go back in my hard drive and find that date as well. So I wanted a little bit more information, but I really wanted to get this video up for y'all. So I don't normally layer my photos like this, or if I do lots of layers, they're kind of more messy layers, but this is going to end up being a framed, multicolored frame around that photo. So I started with the white bow bunny, and then I have that red, and now I'm going to finish with this illustrated faith paper. So it's the same numbers that I cut out the fussy number, and you don't see that they're numbers, but I like the way that it's got that black and white, and it again ties and unites the layout together. I like the way that the weight of the photo it unites into the layout. In some ways, with the borders on either side, I feel like it's floating, and I felt like by putting the frames, the multi-layered frames around the photo, I was able to tie everything in a little bit better. It's still not, I still struggle with this layout, but it's done. This is a memory from quite some time ago, and so I like having it done and behind me. So when I pulled together the papers that I thought I might use and the embellishments, I had a couple of labels. I'm not sure. I think they're from Tuesday Morning from an old Studio Calico kit. And then that pencil is part of the same Bella Boulevard graduation collection that I got from a scrap room kit. So I've pulled out my stars again, and I want to have a couple more stars. So Allison has 3 clusters of hearts in her sketch. I'm actually going to go with what ends up being 3 clusters and then a 4th star. I really liked that red star up the top left of that photo there, but I feel like it gets lost. It doesn't stand out, and so I'm cutting this black bigger star. That's what I love about these nested dies, so that will provide a black frame behind the red star and pop it. And I will actually, I think I show this in the video, I will change that to a brighter, more vibrant red. Again, because my daughter's wearing that red dress and I've got that really vibrant red square for the journaling, that is why I felt like I needed to go with something that matched a little bit better. So I'm attempting with this big star to try and pull that left-hand photo into my center photo there, and pull things together a little bit better so it isn't just sort of free floating there. These are Bella Boulevard arrows from forever ago. I was a Bella Boulevard hoarder, and as I said in a previous video, I am trying to use up my stash because I have a ridiculous amount of stuff that looks great on pages and people can enjoy on the pages, but not so much when it's just sitting in my stash. These are some really, really old cork pieces from Little Yellow Bicycle, a company that is no more. I really liked that banner, and I thought that maybe the title sitting on there would work nicely, but it doesn't go with the stars the way that I have them. So this is where I've decided that I want to change that Bella Boulevard light grid star to a red star. Unfortunately, the colors that I had, I didn't have enough scraps, so I ended up having to pull something else. That is also a red. I believe it's just a solid red. And it's from my scraps, and I don't have the branding strip on it, so I'm not actually sure who that is, to be honest with you. Actually, that's not true. I do know it is Little Yellow Bicycle, and it's tone-on-tone red dots. I do know that for sure. And so I've pulled out a few Ellie's Studio goodies as well. So that is a chipboard star from the June release. And then I have some old October afternoon rub-ons, and I really liked these school rub-ons, and I wanted to use that yellow pencil that you see sitting there, and I felt like I needed a little bit more yellow scattered throughout the layout to tie it together so you didn't just have that one random yellow element sitting there. And so I will pull in a little bit more yellow by using those October afternoon rub-ons there. I also wanted to make a comment about somewhere on Facebook I read somebody was starting to do YouTube videos, and she wanted to know whether people preferred voiceovers or music. And there was a lot of commentary about how people would prefer that when they did voiceovers, not hearing and ah. And I am very cognizant of the fact that there are a fair number of pauses and a fair number of ums. I don't pre-script my voiceovers. And the reason I don't pre-script my voiceovers is because I want this to be organic. I want this to be authentic. And I feel like when I pre-script a voiceover that I'm literally reading it and it becomes this monotone, boring, wah, 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 kind of Charlie Brown teacher kind of thing. And so I need to explain to you that the ums are not that I don't know what I've done. I do know what I've done. I've had to create this layout as well as I've had to edit the video. However, sometimes you get lost in remembering what it was, the brand name of what it is that you used, and there's a hesitation in there. And I often have hesitation as I'm thinking about what it is that I want to say. You know, some of my videos are 20 minutes long when I make the 2-page layouts, and it's hard to talk for 20 minutes straight without needing to pause and think. So I want to clarify that I know what I'm doing and I know what I'm saying. Sometimes I'm thinking about the best way to say it, and those ums I do truly try and minimize. So what I've done in the meantime while I've been rambling is I've placed the stars and I've finished off those clusters. So you can see where I use the red, the yellow rub-ons. Those are some LA Studio goodies. That little gray thing that you see there, it says "This was so good." There's nothing else gray in the layout except for there's a shot of gray in that pencil. The end of the pencil, the metal of the pencil has some gray. And I just liked the lighter embellishments that pulled that together. So this is where I've decided to move the 5, which it has always intended to be 5th grade, over to the left-hand side. The sketch calls for the title to be at the bottom left of the photo, but I have this big space in the top left of my photo. There's white space in that photo there, as well as in the top of the left-hand side photo, and so that way I can cover up some of that gaping space, and that worked better for me and my needs. So what I did to finish off 5th, the T and the H are LE Studio banner stickers, and then I'm going to use some of these Jane Alphas, again from LE Studio, to finish off grade Rise Ceremony, to finish off the title there. I am going to skip over some of my title shuffle. Those of you who follow my work know that I joke about the Suzanna title shuffle. I can never get a title down right the first time. I always have to shift the letters around, and I'm going to spare you the agony of that because this was a very long Suzanna title shuffle. So in order to make it all fit, I had to slide things around a little bit, and it took quite a bit of doing. So that, my friends, ends up being the title. I have a couple more of these cork pieces, and I want to tie them together. Normally I would have a trio of things, but I really felt like I needed something at the bottom right of that photo to tie everything on the left hand page into that right hand page, again because of that big break there. I really struggled with this sketch, and I'm realizing as I look ahead at some of the other sketches that I'm probably also going to struggle because they're very boxy and busy, and that is not typically what I do. That is not my MO for sketches. So you might see some struggles coming ahead, and you might see me skip particular sketches because they are particularly boxy. So that wraps it up. Enjoy the close-ups. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to leave them in the box down below. Thanks for stopping in today. I hope you're doing well. Take care.